Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an ex named Nice Try Andre titled Death Spare Me Pain. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on YouTube on the Spiderhands Out YouTube channel there, the music video for it. We're going to listen through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's do this, let's go. Interesting video so far.
Death spare me pain. Don't come soon like falling rain. Death spare me pain. My road is long, I bear no blame. With a weapon in my hand, they send me to this foreign land. Death spare me pain. I'm not yet ready for the chain.
I mean, it's beautiful with the vocals and the guitar there. It's very wistful.
Love once was sweet. With my young girl I walked the streets. Love once was sweet. With her I wanted life to greet. In her arms I laughed and cried, but they dragged me off to fight one night. Love once was sweet, but the war ripped us apart. Life once was bright. With wife and child I shared the night. Life once was bright. Who says that war is worth the fight should ask what wife and child will be when left alone, no man, no dad to see. Life once was bright, but many men will not survive. Killing feels right when they all cheer and praise your fight. Killing feels right until you lie awake at night. If all you hear is boots and drums and burning faces of all lost friends comes in your mind, you survived but dead inside.
By producer Spiderhands Samler. Nice try, Andre. Okay, so that, I think I understand what this track's about. I was impacted by it, but I'm going to think about it more. We're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Nice Try Andre with production from Spiderhands Samler titled Death Spare Me Pain. What do we think the track was about? I think it was about someone who had happiness in their life with their partner and their children, everything like that. Or at least in the future there was going to be children. But they were dragged off, conscripted to war. And basically, yeah, everyone cheered for them when they were killing things for the right reasons, but then they basically had to deal with the grief and terror, PTSD of it afterwards. It's a really horrific story. You know, it's really horrific what human beings do to each other and how things, erupt. But that's what the track is about. I feel like, just before I go any further, it's interesting to hear this kind of angle, because I don't hear a lot of music that talks about this kind of stuff. And it's nice to hear something a little bit different for a change. Maybe it's like a stylistic thing, but I just feel like, the subject matter is really impactful, as I've said several times. So basically, one of the things that was done well is the delivery and expression of the vocal performance there. We sung well, we hit the notes cleanly as we needed to, there was range within the lower and mid range, and we thought that we were comfortable with that, but as the song went on, they started to call out, and it got into that upper range there, and there was a sense of exasperation, maybe even fear in our voice, and that expression is really important because it makes it seem like more of a human performance. And you know, for us to connect as human beings, we need to be able to sort of imagine what it was like for them, and we need to be able to hear them, have a bit of tension and drama to it. So ultimately, I feel a little bit of kind of like frantic vibrato that we have on some of the notes and tails as well is really effective, and ultimately just a really sensational song to listen to. I'm really impressed with the effort put in there on the microphone to keep things compelling the entire time while telling their story in a way which is easy to understand and follow along to. It's just the fundamentals we adhere to, and we sort of knocked it out of the park. We harmonized neatly with the key signature and chord progressions applicable, and we had some stanzas where we kind of repeated melodies or motifs or sequences, which made it more satisfying to listen to. I think there was also some interesting tones and textures within the instrumental performances as well, so I appreciate the use of the fiddle there as an alternate lead on the side of the stereo field there. I think it was kind of poignant there with the mixture of different triplets and rhythms ascending, you know, and out of my range there, harmonizing neatly with the guitar parts, claw hammer down the lower range, and was a nice sort of foil to what was going on vocally. And I think that it was great just to not have everything all the time. They'd kind of feed off each other, take turns with each other. You know, there was something for the listener to pay attention to, but it would never stay around for too long to sort of like lose interest or appeal. There was a sadness that was, met with the vocals and the way that the strings were played, the fiddle was played there. And some of the melodies there were similar expressed as well, so there's a sense of connection. I think the clawhammer guitar parts there going between the bass notes there was a nice sort of consistent driving force, almost like we were marching forward towards that misery. It had a kind of an analog tone to it that made it seem a bit more sort of like traditional old school, which kind of met more with the wartime stories there. If you'd had a whole lot of synthetic elements, it made it seem a little bit disingenuous or uncomfortable, or just a little bit too much dissonance there texturally. Almost like a folk track, you know, like someone kind of like going over the pain on an acoustic guitar. And there was a nice bass resonance there working between the triads and the root notes there, walking along there. And I think the drums that we have, the chord note accents there, again, kick, snare, were a great sort of push forward there, really reinforcing the constant march without sort of like stopping. And then you have, the Foley, which is more of a post-production thing. But before we get into that, I just want to sort of like give a shout out to the effort made in terms of the instrumental performance, the layering of it, the way that we had several different chord progressions and bass lines made the track more interesting structurally, and the way that we resolved to that minor no matter how high we sort of ascended, almost like we're trying to get out of the mire, but we're going to just get slapped back down though. There are some things that we remember being very happy and sort of like joyous about, but they kind of got taken away. The production value, I think, comes from not only the leveling and the way things were mixed, but it's also down to the use of like the laughter or like the foley of the human beings, or like the sounds of the guns and stuff like that. It's using these other sounds that are not musical or vocal to add to what is being put forward in the music to make it seem a bit more grounded, almost like it's an order, like you can imagine it's a cinematic experience. It's a bit of maturity and classiness and depth that you don't always get with songs there, where a lot of the time it's very much kind of, this is the song telling you absolutely everything, but it's not a lot of effort to put like machine gun fire or like people's voices or like laughter or whatever in there. It's just sensible sort of like post stuff that kind of enhances the experience. And so I think it's a combination of the really sincere, well-developed vocal performance, the way the choice of instruments as well as how they were layered together and their chord progressions and minor resonance and resolution, as well as the post-production with the use of Foley that I think was personal highlights for me of this track. I've got no complaints about it. I think it was a really well-produced and well-performed song, and I wish Nice Try Andre and everyone else involved in future the best of luck, because thank you very much for watching my review of this track from an act named A Nice Try Andre, titled Death Spare Me Pain, and hopefully, I mean, like, just before we go any further, Death Spare Me Pain kind of enforces the fact that the guy wants to die because of the pain he's in and he can never leave that horror. It's just such a dark, awful situation that's described there. It's visceral, but it's so effective and affecting because of that. It's just really well done music. Please do go show them some love via their various social medias and the YouTube page. I think this is all on digital stream platforms as well. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.